Hi, I'm Joanna and I'm 21. I don't want to brag, but right now I have a sum with 9 zeros in my account. Yes, I'm a billionaire, and I managed to achieve this in just a year. How's that possible, you may ask? Well, I'll tell ya. And believe me, this isn't just some ordinary success story. This is a real adventure. I recently graduated from college with a degree in tourism and hospitality. After getting my degree, I immediately started looking for a job. My parents wouldn't help me, and I had to provide for myself. I sent out my resume, hoping I'd be hired for even just the smallest of hotels, no matter what position. But suddenly, I got a response from the coolest 5-star hotel where big names and money bags stayed. I couldn't believe my luck. After a short interview, I was hired as a maid. I didn't quite understand how it happened, but after I met the manager, Mr. Lumley, everything became quite clear to me. He was an elderly man of aristocratic appearance. He spat in the eye of hotel staff. He'd been working in the hospitality industry for 50 years and knew it like the back of his hand. The manager demanded from his subordinates just perfect neatness, cleanliness, and attention to the needs of guests. He was very strict, and all the hotel staff were very afraid of him. No wonder many of the maids couldn't stand talking to him and left. Therefore, the hotel constantly needed new employees. That's how I ended up at the hotel. On the first day of my work, I received strict instructions from the manager about what I should do and what was strictly forbidden. The next day, he gave me my first reprimand for a minor oversight. A couple days later, Mr. Lumley yelled at me and threatened to fire me. I was afraid of him, and I simply hated him. He was a tyrant. And there were several times where I was on the verge of quitting and running from there. But one day, I started noticing something strange about the hotel. Once, a famous singer stayed with us. I won't mention her name, but you know her very well. A few days later, she left and forgot some makeup in her room. All of a sudden, I found a post on the internet in which an unknown user offered to buy these very forgotten cosmetics from the famous singer. Wow. Apparently, one of the maid girls decided to start a good business. But who could have done that? Who would have the guts? If Mr. Lumley found out about it, that poor girl would be in trouble. So I decided to clear everything up. When a well-known rapper moved into the hotel penthouse a week later, I watched out for it. After leaving, he left his cap at the hotel. I was gonna pick it up myself when my partner Carol went in and took it away. So that was the other maid. I decided to blow the lid off her business. But then I saw her passing the cap to Lumley. "Well done, girl. We can get at least $1,000 for this trifle," he said. Holy cats! She was in league with this tyrant. Now it's clear why he never scolded Carol. She was his favorite and accomplice. And I decided to eliminate this injustice. I waited until a celebrity was staying at the hotel, and I stole an expensive necklace from her. Don't think I'm a thief. It was just a plan of revenge, and I slipped it into the maid's purse. When the loss was discovered, the manager had no choice but to search the personal belongings of all employees and find a necklace on Carol. It was no small wonder that after this incident, they quarreled and the thief was fired. So I took out my competition and found Mr. Lumley's secret. One day, when this tyrant told me off again for another mistake, I snapped and I told him I knew what he was doing. The manager got scared and took me aside. He said it was his secret and asked me not to tell anyone. All right, I'll keep my silence. Just don't yell at me for small inconveniences anymore. Mr. Lumley looked at me with a kind of respect. He clearly didn't expect me to be so bold. He had to agree. And since then, working at the hotel became so much easier for me. Lumley was no longer strict and obnoxious with me. We often stayed with him after our shift, drinking coffee at the bar and having fun chatting. The manager told me a bunch of secrets of his craft. He taught me how to talk the customer's ear off so they forget some of their stuff at the hotel. Oh yeah, and he was good at it. But he didn't understand modern technology well, and I taught him how to set up an e-wallet to sell stars things online. It seemed he started to like me after that. After a while, Lumley asked me to become his business partner, and together, we started making money off forgetful celebrities. We sold everything. Autographs, photos, forgotten items. It was a decent allowance to my salary. The manager and I became true friends. He turned out to be very vulnerable and quite a sensitive person. He had no friends or family and he felt really lonely. Of course, he couldn't show his weakness to his subordinates, and he was like a Martinet for them. But Lumley was different with me. We had a romantic relationship. One day, another famous actor came to the hotel, but he was wearing a hat and glasses, hiding his face. But I recognized him immediately. "Welcome, Mr. Depp," I said. But he shuddered and said I was wrong. His name was John Doe. Strange, I thought. Did I make a mistake? but it was definitely the famous actor. Just in case, I even secretly took a couple of photos on my phone. Who was he hiding from? Later, I showed the photos to Mr. Lumley, and I told him about the strange encounter. The manager smiled and said, "Some celebrities prefer to stay in hotels under fake names." "But why?" I asked. "Watch him, my dear, and you'll see for yourself." And I did just that. I was watching this John Doe's room all day, and then I noticed that a girl came to him. She stayed in his room for a couple hours, and then she left. I managed to take a few pictures of him kissing her goodbye. So that was it. It was a romantic meeting away from the eyes of annoying paparazzis. In the evening at the bar, I shared my discovery with Lumley and asked if I could make money with this information. He said that the photos in the story could be sold to some tabloid. I was so happy that the manager supported me that I hugged him and kissed him. The next day, I took everything I had on this actor to a major news outlet and asked if they wanted to buy these shocking facts. Oddly enough, they immediately wrote me a check for a very large sum. Jackpot! I wouldn't have made that kind of money in a year at the hotel. In the evening, Lumley and I decided to celebrate a successful deal. It was dinner at an expensive restaurant. I equitably gave the manager half the proceeds. At first, he didn't want to take the money, but I insisted, because he taught me everything I knew, especially since I really valued his attitude towards me. He was deeply moved and told me his most cherished dream. It turns out that he'd been dreaming of owning his own hotel for a long time. That's why he was so engaged in earning more money, to save up so he could start his own business. It was wonderful. I asked him to tell me about the way he saw his ideal hotel, and he told me all about it all evening. Everything went on as usual. I even forgot about the incident with the famous actor. Then, one day, the police turned up at the hotel. They said that Mr. Depp brought a lawsuit against us. It turns out that after the article was published, he was furious that someone had revealed his secret. I was scared. What would happen now? Detectives began interviewing hotel staff and reviewing surveillance footage to find the culprit. I was against a wall. I didn't know what to do. Should I run? But then it would be immediately clear that it was me who did it. Should I stay? I knew I'd be exposed any minute. I was so scared I couldn't move. They were about to find out everything. Then the unexpected happened. Mr. Lumley came forward and said with such dignity, "Gentlemen, don't bother searching. I'm ready to confess. I did it." What was he doing? I couldn't utter a word in surprise and fright. I saw the manager being handcuffed and arrested. I couldn't believe what had just happened. As they were taking him away, he managed to whisper to me, "I love you. Run." So I ran. I left the hotel that day, and the next, I packed all my things and bought a ticket to Thailand. Once in Pattaya, I spent another week recovering and thinking about what had happened. As a result, everything became clear to me. The manager saved me. He'd sacrificed himself. I began to cry with resentment and despair. It was so noble of him, but I felt so sorry for my dear Lumley. A week later, I received an email from him. He wrote from prison that he couldn't have done anything else. I still had my whole life ahead of me, and he's an old man with nothing to lose. I realized that he didn't have the strength to fulfill his cherished dream and opened the hotel, and he asked me to do it. At the bottom, Mr. Lumley added that he'd transferred all his savings to my account. He added that he'd always love me. A year's passed since then. With our shared money, I opened a small hotel close to the ocean. I made it exactly as he told me in the restaurant that night. I even named the place after him, the Lumley Hotel. And you know what? It became very popular with tourists. People came from all over the world to spend time in the Dream Hotel. The income from it has grown, and now I have more than 1 billion Thai baht in my account. And that's how I became a billionaire in just a year. This is my success story. But I do hope one day Mr. Lumley will be free and see for himself that I fulfilled his dream. Do you know why I decided to tell you my story? Because yesterday, the famous actor who put my darling behind bars arrived at my hotel. He was with a woman and registered under a fake name. There he was. I'd make him pay. Tell me in the comments, how should I take revenge on him for forcing a good man to sacrifice himself for me? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see that the famous actor gets punished.